So pet food. It feels like things are moving incredibly fast, right? Innovation, how people shop.
Yeah.
Are brands really keeping up?
Yeah, absolutely. That's really the million-dollar question, isn't it? Today, we're digging into those shifts that are, well, basically defining what's next.
We're talking futuristic ingredients, new online frontiers.
Exactly, the whole landscape.
Welcome to the Pet Food Insider, your essential briefing. I'm Strategy.
And I'm Signal. In this deep dive, we're really aiming to future-proof your thinking. We're pulling insights from the latest industry reports.
All geared towards giving you, the pet food brand managers listening, some concrete actions for 2025 and, well, beyond that too.
Right. We'll focus on these new ingredient technologies and also the whole online retail evolution.
Okay, let's jump in. First big theme, these novel science-backed ingredients.
Perfect. Let's start with cultivated meat.
Okay, so cultivated meat for humans gets a lot of press. But what's the real story for pets, based on what we're seeing?
Well, things are moving surprisingly fast, actually. Meatly, for instance, they launched the first lab-grown pet treats almost 2 months before, late April this year.
Wow, okay, so they got out there early.
Definitely a first-mover advantage in their market. But they're not alone. BioCraft Pet Nutrition, they got EU approval back in 2025 in Austria.
Approval for what specifically?
As the first supplier of what's called Category 3 animal byproducts. Basically, parts not typically used for human food, but suitable for pet food, now from a cultivated source.
That sounds like a really important regulatory step.
It absolutely is, and they're running with it. BioCraft is working with Prefera pet food to develop this cat food. And get this, it's planned to be 99% animal cell cultured meat.
99%, using cultivated mouse meat, I heard.
That's the one. Cultivated mouse meat. They're aiming to show samples at Zoomark International this May.
And a commercial launch maybe by year-end.
That's the target. BioCraft feels that, lower inclusion rates don't really move the needle on the sustainability goals.
Makes sense. But the big question, will cats actually eat it?
Well, this is fascinating. Prefera is reporting really positive feedback from cat trials, even saying cats preferred it over conventional options sometimes.
Cats preferring lab-grown mouse. That's unexpected, but a huge proof point if true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Given how picky cats can be, right?
Definitely. Okay, who else is active in this space?
So shifting over to North America, you've got Further Foods. They're part of CLT Food Science. They've partnered with a cultivated meat supplier name undisclosed for R&D on their Noochies brand treats.
Oh, geez. Okay.
And interestingly, they already picked up orders at the Global Pet Show from a Southeast Asian distributor.
So they're thinking globally from the start.
Looks like it. And Further Foods is really hoping one of their suppliers gets FDA approval here in the U.S.
Why is that critical for them?
They believe it would, speed up U.S. market entry quite a bit and maybe bring costs down eventually.
Ah, the cost factor. Yeah. Always key.
Right. And they've explicitly mentioned that securing enough supply at a, let's say, a viable price point is still a challenge. It's a hurdle.
Scale and cost.
Yeah.
The classic challenge for new tech.
Precisely. And you also have players like Benny Meat Technologies aiming to be a major producer of the raw cultivated material.
Right.
And Ever After Foods in Israel is working with Buehler, a big name in food processing tech, to scale up production. Buehler specifically mentioned pet food as an application.
Okay, Signal. Lots happening there.
Yeah.
So boiling it down, what does this mean for the brand managers listening? What should they be doing?
Good question. It breaks down by role, really. For product managers, it's time to seriously look at cultivated meat.
For new formulations, maybe sensitive pets.
Exactly. Think novel products, maybe for sensitive cats or dogs, and crucially, keep a very close eye on the regulatory side, EU, U.S., other key markets.
And for brand managers, how do they message this?
Yeah, for brand folks, it's about gauging that early consumer reaction. There's that first mover, appeal, innovation.
But you need trust too, right?
Absolutely. Balancing innovation with trust and explaining the value, why this is good, why it's worth it, it's tricky.
What about the e-commerce managers?
They should start tracking online chatter. Search trends around lab-grown pet food, cultivated pet food. Be ready to educate online.
Proactive education.
Definitely. And finally, insight managers. Get that market research going. How open are pet owners, really? What are the price sticking points?
Got it. Okay, cultivated meat is definitely cutting edge, maybe a bit further out for mass market. What about novel ingredients making waves right now?
Right, let's talk about things more readily available. Insect proteins and biotics are really gaining momentum.
Insect proteins. Okay, let's start there. The sustainability angle is big, I assume.
Huge. There was an estimate back in 2017 suggesting U.S. pets were responsible for maybe 25–30% of the environmental impact of meat consumption globally.
Wow, that's significant.
It is. So insect proteins like black soldier fly larvae or BSFL, mealworms, crickets, they offer a much lower environmental paw print.
Jiminy's really pushed this early on, didn't they? Facing some skepticism.
They did, but they were persistent in showing the nutritional value, the digestibility for dogs. And the science backs it up.
What kind of nutritional profile are we talking?
Pretty good, actually. Typically 55–60% protein on a dry matter basis. Good amino acid balance, too.
And BSFL seems popular.
Yeah, BSFL is attractive because it can, upcycle food waste, turn low-value stuff into high-value protein. Innovafeed is big here with their Helucia brand.
And we're seeing mainstream brands adopt this now.
We are. Hill's Pet Nutrition, for example. They use BSFL in their science diet-sensitive stomach and skin dog food.
Interesting. What benefits do they highlight?
They mention both protein and fiber contributions. Then you have Unsect using mealworms.
Right, tenebrio molitor.
Exactly.
Right.
They offer different ingredients, like a high-protein one, a whole ground one. Their stuff is high protein, essential amino acids, digestible, low ash.
So, solid nutritionals. Any other benefits besides protein and sustainability?
Yeah, some interesting ones. BSFL might have antimicrobial properties. Mealworms are often cited as hypoallergenic.
Hypoallergenic could be a big selling point.
Definitely. And cricket protein, like Jiminy's uses, is rich in B vitamins, fatty acids, minerals, antioxidants. Plus, they're versatile in formulas. Companies like Hill's do palatability tests, too.
Ah, palatability. Because there was that potential ick factor discussion, wasn't there? Is that still a major block?
It's still a consideration for sure, but brands are tackling it head-on with education, focusing on the health benefits, the eco-benefits.
And is it working? Are consumers warming up to it?
It seems like it. Studies from 2024 showed 62% of cat owners and 52% of dog owners had positive attitudes. So growing acceptance.
Okay. So what are the main hurdles now?
Really, it's about scaling up production to industrial levels and, well, the price. It's still often at a premium compared to traditional proteins.
Got it. Okay, you also mentioned biotics. What's the trend there?
Oh, this is a powerful one. A 2025 survey from Nextin Research showed really strong demand for digestive support among dog owners.
How strong?
Over a third feed something for digestive support. 19% do it regularly. And another 19% bought a specific digestive product in the last year.
And probiotics are key here.
Very key. 3 out of 5 dog parents said they're more likely to buy food with probiotics. And get this, 27% would pay more for it.
Wow, a willingness to pay premium. That's significant.
It is. And it's not just probiotics and live bacteria.
Right, there are prebiotics and postbiotics too.
Exactly. 26% would pay more for prebiotics, the food for good bacteria. And 20% for postbiotics, the beneficial compounds those bacteria produce.
So a strong link in pet parents' minds between biotics and health.
Definitely. Over a third connect probiotics with positive health. And those already buying digestive products, they're even more motivated by pre, and postbiotics. They research this stuff.
Where do they get their info? Vets, online.
All of the above. Vets, family, friends, online sources, they're actively looking into it.
Okay, so for brands, insect protein and biotics seem like clear opportunities. What are the specific actions?
All right, for product managers, you should be exploring insects, especially for sustainability angles or hypoallergenic formulas, and definitely investigate adding that biotic trio pre, pro, post to leverage the digestive health trend.
Makes sense. Brand managers.
Focus on clear messaging. Be upfront about insect benefits. Tackle any ick factor concerns with transparency. And for biotics, really communicate the science behind why they help.
And e-commerce. How does this play out online?
Optimize those product pages. Highlight insect protein, highlight the biotics, target searches around sustainable pet food, pet allergies, dog digestion, make it easy to find.
Right, and insight managers.
Keep tracking sentiment. What are people searching for online related to insects and biotics? What are competitors doing? Stay on top of it.
Okay, shifting gears slightly. We've talked about what's in the bowl. Where are people actually buying the food these days? What's happening with retail?
This is another huge area of change. So in 2024, the U.S. pet care market hit about $83.8 billion in dollar sales, up 2.2% year over year.
Okay, steady growth.
Yeah.
But where is that growth coming from?
Ah, that's the key. The channel shift is dramatic.
Hmm.
Online sales, they grabbed 40% of the dollar share.
40%. And growing fast.
Growing very fast, up 8.8%. Meanwhile, brick and mortar, holding 60% share, actually decreased by 1.8%.
That's a really significant swing towards online.
It really is. Even looking at units sold, online grew 6.5%, while physical stores saw a slight dip. Pet care actually saw one of the biggest drops in brick and mortar dollar sales compared to other industries.
Interesting. Is this across the board or are certain categories driving it?
Well, cat nutrition is seeing growth both online and in-store for wet, dry, and treats. For dog food, though, most segments saw in-store declines, but online growth.
But the really big story seems to be omnichannel. People buying both ways.
Exactly. Omnichannel shoppers are now the majority in terms of spending. 58.7% of pet care dollar share in 2024 came from them.
And for pet food specifically.
Even more pronounced, omnichannel represented almost 45% of buyers, but a whopping 64.2% of the dollars spent on pet food.
64%. So people are browsing in one channel, buying in another.
Or buying different things in different places, and a huge driver for that online piece is subscriptions.
Subscriptions. Makes sense for recurring purchases like food.
Definitely locks in that loyalty and recurring revenue.
TikTok. We mentioned it in the title. How does social commerce fit into this picture?
Yeah.
Is it really a factor for pet food?
It's becoming one rapidly. The numbers are pretty staggering. 70% of TikTok users say they've discovered new brands or products there.
70% discovery.
And 83% say TikTok actually plays a role in their purchase decisions.
Wow. So it's influencing actual buying behavior.
Apparently so. 3 out of 4 users say they're likely to buy something while using the app.
That's huge potential for impulse or discovery-driven purchases. Are we seeing pet sales on TikTok?
Yes. Pet supplies on TikTok hit $158 million in sales for the year ending Feb 2025, a massive jump year over year.
Okay, supplies. What about actual pet food?
Smaller numbers currently, but the growth is dramatic. It reached $4.3 million in that same period.
$4.3 million. Up from what?
Up from only about $632,000 the previous year. So still relatively small overall, but the trajectory is undeniable.
So TikTok isn't just for viral dances anymore. It's turning into a real commerce platform.
It seems to be a place for discovery, research, maybe seeing reviews, finding deals. Even if the final purchase happens elsewhere sometimes, it's part of that omni-channel journey now.
Okay, this evolving landscape. E-commerce growth, omnichannel dominance, the rise of social commerce. How should brands adapt their strategies?
All right, let's break it down again. For e-commerce managers, double down on your online channels, optimize them, and seriously explore or push those subscription models.
Build that recurring revenue stream.
Exactly. For brand managers, you have to think omnichannel. Ensure that brand experience is smooth and consistent, whether someone finds you online, in-store, on social.
Seamless experience across touchpoints.
Crucial. And for marketing and brand teams, don't ignore TikTok. Seriously evaluate it for brand discovery, maybe even direct sales. Create content that actually resonates there.
Authentic content, not just ads.
Right. And finally, insight managers. Track this. Watch the growth on platforms like TikTok. Analyze how people are behaving, what they prefer in these new environments.
Okay, that's a lot of ground covered. Based on all these deep dives, ingredients, retail shifts, what are the absolute top strategic imperatives for pet food brands who want to, well, future-proof themselves?
I think it boils down to 3 main things. First, embrace ingredient innovation. Seriously.
Cultivated meat, insects.
Yeah.
They're coming.
They're moving from maybe someday to near-term potential, and biotics remain super important for health-focused owners, so explore these actively.
Okay, number 1, innovate ingredients. What's 2?
Yeah, stir the omnichannel. It's not a buzzword anymore, it's reality. A huge chunk of your sales involves both online and physical touchpoints. Make that journey easy and cohesive.
Right. Seamless omnichannel is non-negotiable. And 3rd,
recognize the power of these emerging digital platforms, like TikTok. Even if sales volume isn't huge yet, its influence on discovery and decision-making is growing incredibly fast. Don't underestimate it.
So to recap for everyone listening, you need to actively explore and pilot novel ingredients. Think cultivated, think insects, think biotics. Weigh the benefits against consumer perception and keep a close watch on regulations.
Absolutely. Second, build truly robust omnichannel strategies. Integrate online and offline smoothly. Optimize for discovery and for those repeat subscription buys.
And 3rd, Don't be afraid to experiment with platforms like TikTok. Use them to build awareness, engage directly, and maybe even drive sales in these fast-growing digital spaces.
That really wraps up our deep dive for this edition of the Pet Food Insider, focusing on future-proofing your brand.
We really hope these insights give you a valuable perspective on where the market's heading and some concrete steps you can take.
Yeah, and for more details on all the data points and the reports we mentioned, definitely check out the links in our show notes.
And please subscribe to the Pet Food Insider so you don't miss our next essential briefing for the industry.
Until then, I'm Signal.
And I'm Strategy. Stay ahead of the curve and keep innovating.